What's your forecast, your expectation for what's going to happen at the midterms next week?
Well, Oriel, I think that the midterms are deceiving because President Trump is not actually on the ballot. If he runs for re-election, which it looks like he will, he's on the ballot again in 2020. But he's actually on the ballot in everything other than the actual voting mechanism, because people are coming out to vote. They're either reacting to, for or against a lot of his policies, and a lot of.
Literally, it's a referendum on the president.
It's like
right?
a referendum, Martin.
Yeah.
And I think that that's easy to be deceived by as well, because there's all year long in the U.S. especially, there's been a pronounced build towards a feeling of an inevitable blue wave of a large, overwhelming win by the Democrats. And while it certainly could happen, we'll find out. My sense is that it won't. My sense is that if you look at the things that drive voting historically over decades and decades, the economy, employment, optimism, consumer confidence, and those are the drivers. And right now, the U.S. economy is on fire. It's growing. Unemployment is at a 50-year low. Consumer confidence is near an all-time high.
So does that mean it's going to be a red repeat then, as opposed to a blue wave?
I don't know that it's necessarily a red repeat, but I think it's quite a balance. So a midterm election, historically, for a first-term president, is going to go against that president. Happens almost every time.
So just gridlock then.
So what we could end up with here is I think a stronger Republican-led Senate, perhaps a Democrat-led House, and a Republican-led White House, which will make for a very dynamic second half of this president's term and a build-up to the next election.
So just before we move on from politics, what happens at the next election? I mean, I'm asking you to look out here another couple of years, but you know, when you look out, what do you see happening in the next election?
I go back to the fundamentals, and having been through this through several election cycles, if going into that election cycle we have a similar environment with exceptionally strong unemployment, very high sustained economic growth, high consumer confidence, and if you look at people either answering or thinking to themselves, am I better off today than I was 4 years ago? Do I feel very good about where I'm headed for my future? Then they are likely going to vote to re-elect any incumbent president. Whether people think that they like or dislike that incumbent, that's typically what happens. So if this pattern continues from an economic growth standpoint, from a low unemployment and a high consumer confidence, high wage growth standpoint, I think that President Trump would have a high likelihood of being re-elected, assuming he officially runs again.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.